Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the next video in the document understanding series for UiPath aspirant, where I am trying to explain the document understanding in a step-by-step manner. In the previous two videos of the series, we have already seen what exactly is document understanding, why it is important, and what are the different stages we have in a document understanding process. In case you haven't already watched the previous two videos, I would request you to please watch the previous two videos. That will set the context for this video. Okay. So in the last video, I have explained this complete life cycle of the document understanding project. And I would also like to structure the upcoming videos in the same manner, meaning that from this life cycle on the daily basis, we will take one and we will try to understand and code the same into the document understanding project. Okay, so now based on the poll history, I came to a conclusion that most of us want to build this automation along with me. So I have structured this video in a way that you can actually go and practice along with me, right? But before that, we need to understand what exactly is the use case, what is the problem this automation is solving, what is the benefits, why we are doing it, who is the customer, who is the client, right? So let's first understand the use case. So we are creating a use case. The name of the use case is the expense reimbursement use case, which is a document understanding use case. Okay. If I talk about the problem statement, so there is a team in a company. Let's call the company as Tutorials by Mukeshkala. Okay, TBMK. So there is a company. In that company, there is a department whose name is account payable department. On frequent basis, they receive invoices and receipts from the vendors, from the employees for the reimbursement. So the vendor send the invoices for the work done, for the items, for the itinerary, anything, and the employees are sending it with the expenses which they have incurred, right? It can be the expenses of the travel, the food, the accommodation, anything, right? So what does the account payable receiving? They are receiving the invoices and they are receiving the receipts. Now there is a team in the account payable department who is spending a significant amount of time processing these documents and putting this data into a other system. Now what the account payable team has to do, sometime the invoices are native, so they can copy paste the data. Sometime it may be scanned, so they cannot copy paste, so I have to manually type it. It is having a lot of inconsistency. Sometimes there is a data inaccuracy, it causes delay, and it also has operational risk which we will decide. If I talk from the departments which are involved in this complete project, we have the first department, which is the account payable, responsible for processing this invoice. Second one is the IT department, the department responsible for implementing the automation, which is us in this case. And then there is a finance department which is involved, who is overlooking all these operations, right? So from the company point of view, these are the three departments which are involved. Inputs, since this is a basic use case, so we are restricting our use case to only invoices and receipts, invoices from the vendors and receipts from the employees. Okay, so I hope this clears a picture that what we are trying to build. The second problem, or the second thing, is why actually we are building it. What is the problem? The problem is manual data extraction. As of now, the AP team member is spending a lot of data to manually extract the information that has a lot of errors, visibility in the formats. Sometimes the invoice and receipts are coming into different form, different structure, making it challenging to extract the information. Since some of the documents can be scanned, the scanned quality can be poor. Data validation, I have to write and sit to do the data validation. And lastly, there is something which is called ERP system. Every company has ERP system. It can be SAP, it can be anything else, right? But let's say for our use case, my ERP system is an Excel, where we want to get this data and put it into an Excel. The idea would be, if I am able to pull the data, put it into Excel, then it's very easy for me to put it into any other accounting or the ERP software, right? So this is the project bottleneck which the automation is solving. Okay, how would the automation work? The document would be coming to the automation. We would have the document understanding workflow. The data validation would be done. we would have the data entry mechanism. As of now, it is in an Excel template. We would be handling the exception, we would be integrating it to the ERP system, and lastly we would have a report that what the automation has done, and in case of exception what went wrong. Okay, so this would be a high level project workflow. And lastly, what is the benefit you are going to get if you implement this? The first one is the improvement, right? You are saving a lot of manual effort. Invoicing, receipt processing is accelerated. Your accuracy is more. Robots are faster, so you are going to save the time because now it's done by the robot. Standardization, there are different vendors who are sending the data, but the robot will collate the data and show you in a proper format in an Excel. Cost reduction, and lastly the enhanced visibility and controls. Automation is going to provide you the real-time visibility to the expert expense reimbursement process, enable to better decision and control over financial operations, right? All the other things you can pause the video and read about this, right? So this is the complete use case which we are going to implement in the document understanding playlist. I hope you understood this use case. Having said that, let's move to the next step now. I would also like you guys to practice along with me so that at the end of this series, both you and myself, both of us have a document understanding project which we have built in a step-by-step manner, right? Now you might be thinking that, Mukesh, where will I get the files? Where will I get the sample files which you are going to use? The answer to that question is mentioned at the top, where you can just go to my website mukeshkala.com and download the files, right? Let me show you where exactly that is. Okay, so this is my website, guys, mukeshkala.com. A lot of you might be already familiar with it if in case you have already played the weekly challenges and the RE framework series, right? So once you are in this website mukeshkala.com, you just have to click on this button which is the downloads. And here you would find all the data whichever I have covered in my channel, including the RE framework, offer letter use case, loan application, all of that you can download, right? So you keep scrolling down and at the bottom you would have something which is the document understanding practice files. So receipts and the invoices samples. You just go here and click on this button which is the download file, and that should download the sample files for you. Okay. Once you download the file and unzip it, you would have 3 files inside it. One is the invoice, the second one is also an invoice, and third one is a receipt, right? So these are the 3 documents which we are going to utilize in this use case, right? If I quickly select them and I say open, right? So these are the 3 documents: invoice 1, invoice 2 and the receipts, right? So these are the 3 documents which we are trying to utilize and extract some of the information, right? So invoice 1 is a scanned invoice. Invoice 2, it is an invoice but which is a native editable. I hope now you guys understand. And receipt is again a scanned receipt, right? So these are the 3 documents, guys, which we are going to utilize in this use case, and I would request you to build this use case along with me. Okay, so you have these 3 files with you now. Okay, now going back to my UiPath Studio. Okay, so this, I hope you guys remember, this is the same project which we built in the video 2. We did nothing, we just created a new project and we added a intelligent OCR activity package, and that gave us this guy which is the taxonomy manager. Okay, now next I want you guys to keep the files in the same project so it is easy to access, right? So I'll go to the project, right click here and I'll say add a folder, and I'll call this something called input files. Hit OK, and that should create a folder for me which is the input files. Right click on that folder and say open. This folder is initially blank, so what we will do is whatever files you have downloaded from my website, 2 invoices and 1 receipt, I'll put it in my input files and it should look something like this. Okay, you can validate the same in your UiPath Studio. In the input file, click on this button which is the refresh, and now you should see all the 3 files which have invoices and the receipt. Okay, in case you are not able to see it, it might be because you might have applied a filter here, which is this other. So in case you see I haven't I unchecked it, so I'm not able to see the file. I go back here, take on the others, and now you are able to see the invoices, right? So till this point you guys have now the invoices, and now we can all start our document understanding project, right? I hope you guys have the files now. If that is the case, just comment down files downloaded, right? So if you comment down file downloaded, I will understand that yes, you guys have the file, and that will help me to understand that yes, people are moving along with the video. Okay, so now we have the input files, and next we have to define the use case now. Okay, coming back to the roadmap, right? So this is the complete thing, and now I hope you have the files. Today in this video we are going to do the first one, which is highlighted in green, which is called the load taxonomy. We are going to discuss what exactly is the load taxonomy, why it is important, how to create it, and all the things whichever related to the taxonomy, right? So this would be our agenda for today. We are going to start with what exactly is a taxonomy. Whenever I define a taxonomy, what are the field types and its details, right? Next, I am going to teach you how to create and use a taxonomy. We are going to discuss about the taxonomy manager, and I am going to end the video by providing you some tips on the optimum utilization or the usage of the taxonomy manager. Okay, let's try to see a quick sneak peek that what we are trying to build in the document understanding series. In my input folder, I have 3 PDF. 2 are invoice, one is a native invoice, one is a scanned invoice, and then I have a receipt which is also in a scanned format. I'll go to my automation and I'll say run the file. Automation completed in 31 seconds. In the folder I have 3 Excel file now. For the invoice, the relevant data such as the server name, the total, and the date is extracted. Similarly, for the invoice we have extracted the account number, the invoice number, as well as the date. And same goes for the invoice number 2. So this is the automation we are going to build. Okay, so till this point we have seen that we have to install a dependency which is UiPath.intelligent OCR activities, and which we have already installed. Once you install that activity package in your project, you guys should see this one, which is the taxonomy manager on the top of your header of the UiPath Studio, right? So taxonomy manager is the thing which we are going to discuss today, and to get this thing you need to have the UiPath intelligent OCR activity package, right? In case you are working on a project and you don't see the taxonomy manager, please make sure that you have this package installed, UiPath.intelligent OCR activity package. Okay, now coming to the topic, what exactly is a taxonomy, right? So taxonomy, if I go by the definition, it is a structure that contains the schema of the information the document understanding framework will use the throughout, right? So as we have seen, document understanding is a project or is a framework where we are trying to extract some information from some documents, right? Now here important thing is, in the projects we have different kinds of documents. We have invoices, we have medical records, contracts, passport, and different documents have different information which we have to extract. For example, if it is a passport, I would like to extract the country, first name, last name. If it is an invoice, I would like to extract the number of items, the total, the payment party, and all those details. The other thing which you should remember is that though it is a passport and there are 2 different projects, chances are there that both of them want a different information, right? So for the developer 1, he is interested only in the first name and the last name. For the developer 2, he is interested in, let's say, only the passport number, right? So before starting any document understanding project, we need to tell UiPath that what kind of document I am dealing with and what is the information I want from those documents. And this complete information is called a taxonomy. One other thing and important is that one document understanding project can have only one taxonomy. You cannot have two taxonomy for a project, right? So in case your project is dealing with, let's say, invoice, contracts and all the other things, still you would have a single taxonomy file. It won't happen that yes, if I have two documents, so I would have two taxonomy. No, one project, only one taxonomy. Okay. And in the taxonomy, we define what data the robot or the automation is supposed to capture and extract. Okay. A taxonomy is a collection of documents. Now, the documents can be any document, invoices, medical reports, IRS form, contracts, passport, anything. And from each of the document, we have to extract some information. That information is called a field, right? So finally, if you see this complete slide, we as a developer are interested in something which is called a field. But now where is the field? The field is something which information I want to extract. Now the field is a part of the document, and document again is a part of the taxonomy, right? So for a developer, it is important that we need to extract this information which is called the field. Okay. Now if I talk about the field, these are all the different field types and the details which are available in the taxonomy. You can extract the text, you can extract the number, date, you can extract the name, what is the purpose, what is the formatting, and the additional information. All of that is available for you on the screen to read, right? I would like you guys to take a pause and just read about the different things which are mentioned here, right? My agenda here is to tell you guys that what different kind of fields we can extract. We can have text, number, date, name. We can have address, set. Set is a list of values. Boolean, true and false. We can extract a table. Let's say there is a table which is having a list of items. Document understanding has the capability to extract the table. We can extract the table column and so on and so forth, right? So all this information which you see on the screen is the field type, which means that what data I want to extract and what are the possible kind of data we can have. Okay. Now let's talk about how do you create your project taxonomy. Okay. So for that, I'll go back to my UiPath Studio. Okay. Back to my UiPath Studio, right? So to create a taxonomy, you have to click on this button at the top, which is called the Taxonomy Manager, and that should launch the Taxonomy Manager for you, which look something like this, right? So as of now, we have not defined any taxonomy here. That's why it is absolutely blank. So it is asking me that, okay, you have created a document understanding project, well and good, but you need to tell me what data you want to extract. What are the different kinds of documents you are expecting, right? So all that information we are going to define here in this wizard, which is called the Taxonomy Manager. But now if you would see here, there are different buttons. It says group, and then when I click on group, it is asking me for the name, then document type. There is something which is JSON. What exactly is this thing, right? So we need to understand that how do you structure this thing, right? So for that, I'll quickly go back to my slide again. Now whenever we talk about the taxonomy, and you could see this structure here, I have created a small structure for you to understand it, right? In a taxonomy, you can have different groups. Okay, so I can have a group 1 and I can have a group 2. Inside the group, I can have different categories, such as I can say that the first category is the invoice and the second category is the receipts. Now inside those categories, I would define the documents. So if you see the structure, the top is the taxonomy, then we have the group. Okay, inside that group you have the category, and inside the category you define the documents. Here I have directly placed the document here, meaning you can directly place a document directly in the group as well. In case you don't want to follow this structure, you have an option to directly place the document inside the group. But it is good, it is advisable to have this structure, right? But it entirely depends on your implementation. Now if I have to relate it to our use case, okay, I have two category of documents. I have the category 1, which is the invoice, and I have the category 2, which is the receipts, and inside that we are going to place that, right? And then they can be a part of any group, right? So I hope you understand this thing. And if this same structure, if you create in the taxonomy, this is how it will look like. So you would have groups, so you can have group 1 and group 2. Inside the group I have the category 1 and the category 2. Inside the category we have this documents, right? So that is how this taxonomy manager is used to define the documents, right? Now let's try to define our taxonomy. Okay, back to my taxonomy. So what group you want to create, right? So let's say I have this company which is tutorials by Mukeshkala, so I just mention here TBMK, right? So this is my group. The name of my group is tutorials by Mukeshkala. You can name it as per your thing, or you can simply name it like group 1 as well. That should also work. So I have entered a group. Now a group has been created. If you want to have a one more group, you can directly create the group here, and now you can see you can directly create a document type as well here, right? Once you click on the group, now it is asking me inside that group what kind of documents or what kind of category you are expecting. So I let's say in my group I have a category where I could receive this data, the invoices and these receipts. I can receive it via email, or I can, let's say, receive it from a folder, right? So that means that I have a incoming of the documents. So depending on that you can create a category. So you can have two category, one category for the emails, the other category for the folders, right? But to keep it simple, I'll just go here and I'll keep it to only one category, something like incoming. Okay, job done. So I have a group. Inside that group I have a category called incoming, and similarly you can have more category as well. Now it is asking me, okay, you are in the group of tutorials by Mukeshkala. You have some invoices which are incoming. Now tell me what invoices or what data are you expecting. So I go here and I click on this button, which is the document type, and I tell it that I am expecting invoices. I'll save this, and I am also expecting receipts. Save this. So this becomes my taxonomy, right? That inside tutorials by Mukeshkala group I have this category, and inside the category there are two documents which I am expecting. One is the invoice and one is the receipts, right? I hope you guys are following along with me. Now there is no save button or anything. This data is automatically getting saved. You can just go here and close this. As soon as you close the taxonomy manager, I want you guys to go back to the project and hit a quick refresh here. Okay, in here in the project you have a refresh button. Click on that and you would see that there is a new folder which is created whose name is document processing. Open it, and inside that you would have something which is called taxonomy.json, right? So whenever you create any taxonomy in UiPath, you get something which is called taxonomy.json, and one project can have only one taxonomy file. Okay, now if I just right click on it and I'll just say open the file location, there is a JSON file which is created. Let us just open it with any editor. I am opening with Notepad++, and you can see that whatever structure we provided is all available in this, right? So this is how document understanding is going to categorize. So it says that you have field like TBMK, incoming, invoices, document type, right? So depending on your structure you will have two things. So I only have the invoices and receipts, right? Because if you guys remember, I'll just close the additional things, right? If you guys remember, we have the invoices and we have the receipts. That's why our taxonomy manager has invoices and receipts, right? As a developer, no need to touch anything or delete anything here. This is just to show that yes, how the JSON file look like. You can simply go and close this. So what we have done is we clicked on taxonomy manager and we created a taxonomy.json. So that was the step 1 of the taxonomy manager, which was defining the document, right? So we have defined our document as per our use case. Okay. Now I hope you guys are also able to follow along with me. If that is the case, just comment down defining the document, which is the step 1, or you can just simply comment down step 1, so that also I understand that yes, you guys are on the same page. Okay. The step 2 is defining the document fields. Now ideally, if you see, right, when I was discussing, there can be multiple projects and not all the projects would like to define the same fields. So we told UiPath that hey, I want to extract the data from invoice and I want to extract the data from receipts, but we never told UiPath that what data I want to extract. There is a project which requires only the total. There is a project which requires only the first name, last name. There is a project which only requires the data. So we told UiPath that yes, I want to extract the data, but what data? That's what we also have to tell. And that is the step 2, where we have to define the document fields, right? Let's go back to our taxonomy manager and try to define the document fields. Okay. So I'll go back here to my taxonomy manager. Okay. You can edit it multiple times. That's always doable. I'll open incoming. So we have this TBMK incoming, we have the invoice and we have the receipts, but we never told what data we want to extract, right? So let's go to the invoices which we have in the folder, this one, invoice 1, invoice 2, and let me quickly open a notepad also, right? It is always good to take a note of the things. So I'll just open this invoices. I think it's already open here. Yep. So I have the invoice 1 and I have the invoice 2. So we have to tell UiPath what data I want to extract, right? So now in both the invoice 1 and invoice 2, I can see I have the invoice number, and here also I have the invoice number. Okay. So I want to extract first the invoice number, right? I'll just keep a note. Now next we have something which is called account number in this invoice, and in the invoice 1 also, I guess, yeah, we have the account number, right, which is this one. So the next thing is I want to extract the account number, and let's say the third thing is it should have date. Yeah, it has a date, and here also it should have some date, right? Here date. Okay. So now the third thing is I want to extract the date. So these 3 fields we are going to extract from the invoices. Okay. Guys, we are not going into the much complex operation. Ideally, we could extract all these informations as well, tabular structure, all of that, right? But my agenda here is to first make you familiar with the document understanding, and then we little step by step go into the complex task. Okay. And similarly from the receipts, EIPTS receipts. From the receipts, what data I want to extract? So this is the receipt which you might have. So let's say from the receipts I want to get the server, which is Michelle here. So I want to know who is serving. Let's say we can get this total, and what else? We have the date here, right? So we'll also get the date, right? We'll stick to three fields. Okay. So these are the 3 fields which I want to extract from the receipts, and these are the 3 fields which I want to extract from the invoices, right? Typically these details you will get it from the process design document or the business analyst of the project, right? What data I want to extract. Okay. So I'll minimize this and we'll go back to our taxonomy manager. We have this. So we have to now click on this stuff. We'll go to invoices first. And from the invoices, I need the invoice number, account number, and the date. So invoice number, it is asking me that Mukesh, you are in the group. This is the category. What is the field you want to extract. Now remember, when I was talking about the field, that you could have more kind of fields, all of that you would be able to relate here. Now I click on the field. What is the field name? The field name is, let's say, invoice number. Okay, now invoice number, what is the field type? Okay, now if you see here, the invoice number here, let me just find the invoice number. It is 143 something, and in the invoice 2 also the invoice number is I, right? So that means that if I put an integer, it might not work, right? Because I won't be able to store in the integer, right? So it would be good to have it in a text format. I hope you guys understand why I did the text, because in one of the invoices the invoice number is a I alphanumeric kind of thing, and you have, by the way, all these things whichever I was showing in the presentation. And I'll just save this. So inside the invoices, the first thing we want is the invoice number. Let's add the second field. The second field we want to extract is the account number. I'll go back here, I'll put the name as account number. Okay, now let's quickly check the account number. Account number here is also having this, so I will make it to also text and save this. And the third one is a date. So for the field third one, date, as we have seen that we have a field type which is called the date, and I'll just go and say save. So from the invoices, I am telling UiPath that I am interested in the invoice number, account number and the date. Similarly, you have to tell UiPath what do you want to get from the receipts. So I'll go to receipts, same thing I'll do here. I want the server name, which would be text. This is defining the taxonomy, right? The second thing is I was interested in the total. I'll call it as number, save. The third thing is, I guess it was the date. Let me double check. Server, total and the date. And the date, I'll just put it as the date. And I save this. So now this is the definition of the taxonomy. I can close this and taxonomy should be updated, right? Let's go back to my this one. Don't need to change it, right? But you should be aware of that how this change happened, right? Now as soon as you open the taxonomy.json file, you would see all the details whichever we have updated, right? We want whatever the details we want, right? Invoice number, account number, date. So taxonomy is automatically updated by whatever data or details you provide on the taxonomy manager. So I hope you guys are able to define the document fields, and if that is the case, please comment down defining document fields or just comment down step 2. Okay. So step 1 and step 2 are done for the taxonomy manager. The step 3 is editing the document fields, right? This step is optional for us as of now. Let's say we want to edit, delete or reorder. All of that we can also do in the taxonomy manager, right? I quickly want to show it to you that let's say at any point of time, okay, you feel like, okay, I do not want this thing or I want to edit it. You always has an option to click on this button, which is the delete, and that should delete this. You want to edit it, click on that and you have an option to edit and provide all these details with you, right? So that is the step 3 where you can also edit the document fields as well. And lastly, there is a step 4 which is customization and accessibility, which is also optional for you, right? So you might have seen that a new color and a hotkey is allocated to the newly created field, and you can actually change it depending on your requirement. Let's say you want to have a different color, you are free to choose your color and everything. Customization can be also done, and this also support the keyboard shortcut as well. So these are all the keyboard shortcut which you can do, and in case you are interested to change the color and all, you can also change it from here. right? So these are the color. So let's say for the invoice number, it has automatically decide that yes, the hotkey is V, this is A, this is E. In case you are interested to change it, feel free to change it here, right? The colors and all you can change it here. For me this looks perfect, but this isn't just an additional information for you that you can also do the customization as well. Okay, once you are done, just go here and click close. Next I want to show you that depending on your project, what else could you do in the taxonomy manager, right? So for example, if you see on the screen, right, this is an invoice. So let's say I want to extract the name of the company, address of the company, invoice, invoice date and invoice items. Now if you would see here, let me point a laser. So invoice items is a data table because all this item is in a rows and a column format. So you also has an option to extract the invoice items in a data table. So name of the company would be a text, address would be a text, invoice integer, date is a date, invoice item is a data table. So this is also you can do, but more of this data table and the complex part in the other videos. But first we are trying to understand the basics, right? Now in the taxonomy you can have two kinds of fields. One is the basic fields and is the advanced field. So basic field, which we have already created, like the first name, last name, you can have company name, vendor name, invoice, invoice date. And then you also has an option to create the advanced fields, like in case you want to extract the number of items, right, list items or the row items, you can also create the items like this. So if you see this structure, this simply means that I have an invoice, company name, vendor name, invoice number, invoice date I want to extract. Then I want to extract the list of items, and inside the list of items I can have line number, description, quantity and unit price. All this complex we will see in a little bit later video, but you should be aware that yes, you have the possibility of extracting the information in a advanced fields as well. Okay, now coming back to the UiPath Studio. Okay, so we have created the taxonomy. Now we need to load the taxonomy into the project, right? Because we have created the project, we have created a taxonomy, here. Now it is just like a sample file sticking here. How do you load the taxonomy to your automation? So for that, let me go to the activities and I'll create a sequence here, right? I'll call this sequence as taxonomy. Okay, so that it is easy for us to keep adding to this automation. Now once the taxonomy is created, to load the taxonomy, you'll go to the activities and you just search taxonomy, and you would have a activity which is called load the taxonomy. Drag and drop the load taxonomy here, and you don't have to provide any input path to the taxonomy. It is automatically going to take the taxonomy.json file from here. If you go to the properties of load taxonomy, you would see only it has one output property, which is the output of this thing, right? So I'll go here and I'll just hit Ctrl+K and I'll create a variable called taxonomy, right? So I am telling UiPath that whatever taxonomy I have created from that JSON file, make it available for me in my automation. And UiPath is saying me that okay Mukesh, I have loaded it and the complete data is available for you in this variable, which is the taxonomy variable, and the document and the variable type is document taxonomy. Okay, so this will load the taxonomy for you. I'll just go here and put a right line, drag and drop it here, and I'll just put a breakpoint. Okay, and let's see if I am able to load the taxonomy or not. Debug the file. Okay, the automation has started. What we have done is pretty simple steps. We have defined the documents and then we have loaded the taxonomy into the project so that it is accessible to the UiPath project. Okay, so the activity is successfully executed and you can see that my taxonomy variable is now initialized, it is having some values. You can click on this pencil kind of a button and you would see the same structure whichever we have defined in the JSON file. Right, so that means that the first step of the document understanding is completed, where you have load the taxonomy. Please remember the activity name is load taxonomy, and in the properties you only have one activity, only have one property, which is the output. You just specify a taxonomy and that should load the taxonomy for you. Okay, good practice. It is always advisable to add logs to your automation. So I'll just go here and add a log message, one in the beginning. I'll say it as an info level log, right? And I'll say that loading the taxonomy, right? And I'll copy, paste it here, and I'll say that loading taxonomy completed, right? So that we guys understand that yes, the step 1 of the automation is done, right? So I hope you guys are also able to follow along with me and you guys are also able to load the taxonomy, right? If that is the case, please comment load taxonomy and I would understand that yes, you have reached till this point. If any exception, any issues you are facing, just comment down and I should be happy to reply on that, right? But I hope you guys are able to follow along and you are able to create the taxonomy and load the taxonomy with me. Okay, coming back to my presentation, the last thing which I wanted to talk about is some of the tips I wanted to share you guys for using the taxonomy manager wizard. Okay, so the first thing is, while creating groups, group the document types into meaningful groups and categories based on the business units, right? So I given my name, which is TBMK tutorials by Mukeshkala. Ideally you can give it by the business unit, the department name, but this hierarchy should be properly defined as per your company, as per your organization. Always use meaningful names in the field required for each document type, right? I hope this, as an experienced developer, you guys should understand that if I simply write ABCD, nobody would understand. It's good to use always the proper naming convention. Avoid using special characters when naming groups, categories and fields. Special characters you should avoid. You could put an underscore, but I think if you just keep it simple, it would be easier for you to do the automation, but avoid using the special characters. The next thing is, you should always provide appropriate data for the correct field. If you are expecting an integer, it should be integer. If string, it should be text, right? Otherwise there is always a fear of unwanted data and fear of missing the data as well. Okay, the last thing in the taxonomy manager is, we have also an option to apply the field level rules. We have not talked about this in detail, but you always can have field level rules in the taxonomy. I'll show you where this is. It simply means that you can check like something like this. If it is an invoice, check if the invoice number is mandatory. Check if it would start or end with a specific character. If you are trying to extract an email, you can apply a regular expression and check whether the email is correct or not. So that means that in my taxonomy manager only I can have this validation. Where exactly it is? Let me quickly show it to you. Back to my UiPath Studio, design, taxonomy manager, and in the fields it would be, right? So I'll go to this one, incoming, invoices, invoice number. These are the checks. Require reference, let's say in the date, what is the format you are expecting. All of that checks you can specify in the taxonomy as well. Okay, for our use case we will leave everything to the default setting, and in the advanced one we can try to play around with all of that, right? So these are some of the tips guys you can follow when you are working in a taxonomy manager. Okay, so that is all I wanted to cover in this video. I wanted to only talk about the load taxonomy, and I hope you guys were able to follow along with me, download the files and able to load the taxonomy, right? If you have any questions, any doubts, or you're facing any difficulty, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well, right? I'll see you in the next video where we are going to the next stage, which is the digitize, and we will step by step complete this playlist as well as the automation for you. Okay, in case this video was helpful and you like the way this flow is going, I would appreciate your feedback. If you like this content, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.